we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Despite constitutional guarantees, American civil rights and liberties are constantly in danger of violation, whether by individuals, corporations, or government institutions. Regardless of whether personal prejudices or national security concerns lie at the root of these violations, challenging them and holding wrongdoers accountable is imperative for the sake of the constitutional integrity and the preservation of the American way. Trial lawyers advocate for awareness, the truth, and a person's right to know. They believe that in the absence of the truth, all of us stand helpless to defend ourselves, our families, our health, and our way of life. Oftentimes, we don't think about or worry about or understand what is happening to another until it happens to us. Deceits have no boundaries. Disease doesn't recognize the color of our skin or our political party's affiliation. When it comes to cover-ups and false allegations by agencies of the state and the federal government, there is not a soul amongst us who does not have a cringing fear of their overwhelming, awesome power. It is at these times that we need experienced and dedicated trial lawyers, the warriors in the courtroom, who are willing to battle for us tooth and nail in the halls of justice to protect our cherished way of life.
Such a call for justice happened on July 17, 2007, when Eddie Ford was arrested and jailed in Yakima, Washington, for exercising his constitutionally protected First Amendment right of free speech. At the time of the incident, Eddie was driving to work shortly after midnight when he was stopped by a City of Yakima police officer. The Yakima police officer, Ryan Erlacher, accused Eddie of playing his car stereo music too loudly, which he denied, and threatened to take him to jail unless he, quote-unquote, shut his mouth. And this is recorded in this police dash video.
Sir, step out of the car, keep your hands where I can see them, or force will be used. Turn around and face the car. Turn around and face the car, or force will be used.
What?
Put your hands behind your back.
For what?
Do it now or you're going to get tased.
What
Do it now or you're going to get tased. I will explain it. Let go. Turn around or you're going to get tased. Don't be an idiot.
You don't idiot out here. Oh my God.
Stop running the mouth.
Listen, go
If you talk over me, you are going to go to jail, sir.
Yeah.
Do not talk over me.
I ain't never heard something there.
If you cooperate, I may let you go with the ticket thing. If you run your mouth, I will put you in jail for it. Yes, I will. And I will tow your car. You cooperate, shut your mouth, I'll give you a ticket, you can go. You understand me? Well, then I can take you to jail if you'd like. Would you like to go to jail, sir?
I got to go to work. I got to be at work.
Well, that's not going to happen if you keep running your mouth. Okay? If you have diarrhea in the mouth, you will go to jail. If you cooperate with us and treat us like human beings, we will treat you like a human being. You understand me?
As you can see, Eddie complied with the officer, but he still got hauled off to jail for, quote-unquote, running his mouth. Or as the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals later ruled in 2013, he was wrongfully arrested in a direct violation of one of America's founding pillars, the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, the right of free speech. The majority court found that a reasonable person would feel that Ford's right to free speech was violated when the officers booked and jailed Ford in retaliation for his protected speech, even though probable cause existed for his initial arrest due to the noise violation. In September 2013, 4 years after the initial lawsuit, the city of Yakima agreed to pay Eddie $65,000 to be released from further liability. Eddie accepted the settlement offer, noting that the case was never about money and that he would have initially been willing to resolve the matter with an apology from the offending officer Ehrlicher. Since 2009, this same officer, Ryan Ehrlicher, was investigated in 2011 by the Yakima Police Department for allegedly placing a false statement on a search warrant request. And he was also suspended in 2011 without pay for charging $400 worth of beer to city credit cards. Today, the Insider Exclusive Investigative News Team visits with Eddie Ford and his lawyer Bill Pickett, founder of the Pickett Law Firm, in this Insider Exclusive Investigative Network TV special, Free Speech, Eddie Ford's Story, to discuss the significance of this landmark Ninth Circuit Court victory, because as Bill says, citizens have an absolute right to be critical of law enforcement, and they can vocalize that criticism without any fear of being retaliated against. As Bill has often said, the problem of police brutality is much more widespread than most Americans are willing to admit. Our nation practices a selective blindness. In this great and strong nation, we have all become unwitting accomplices to the continuation of this conflict. Bill has earned the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as one of the best civil rights trial lawyers in Washington and across the nation. He has seen many innocent and hardworking people become victims of police brutality. He understands that police brutality is one of the most serious, enduring, and divisive human rights violations in the United States. The problem is not just in Washington, but nationwide, and its nature is institutionalized. And because of that, he is driven to fight for people who have been harmed by the willful or negligent actions of others. He learned a long time ago that if a man hasn't discovered something he will die for, he isn't fit to live. His goals? Not only to get justice for his clients, but to make sure all Americans have the right to a fair trial, honest cops, impartial prosecutors, and fair judges with no agendas. Because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and justice and power must be brought together so that whatever is just may be powerful, and whatever is powerful may be just. This is the Insider Exclusive, live from Yakima, Washington.
It is my great pleasure to introduce Bill Pickett to the show. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell our audience a little bit about your firm. What areas of law do you like to practice law in?
Well, we focus primarily on this personal injury component. We also have specialized in police misconduct cases as well as medical negligence. Those are the three areas where we put most of our energy.
You have quite an extensive background, a non-legal background, which I found very interesting. I understand you used to be a fisherman in Alaska, right?
I was. I worked the back deck for a few years in the Gulf of Alaska, fishing crab, and then moved out of that. It was pretty sporadic work, and moved into deep sea diving for a time.
So you're a certified deep sea diver?
I am.
Yeah, but all of this background experience that you have led to you wanting to be a lawyer, didn't it?
It led to me wanting to understand all the complex rules that really try to govern and weigh people down in their lives, and wanting to help folks.
Today we're here because you won an appeal at the Ninth Circuit, free speech.
We did.
What we're going to do is I'm going to have you explain what happened, but before I do that, I want to run a clip which was taken from the dash camera of a Yakima police officer, and then you can explain what happened and what all this means. So let's run this right now.
Sir, step out of the car, keep your hands where I can see them, reports will be used. Turn around and face the car. Turn around and face the car. Force will be used.
My car for what?
Put your hands behind your back.
For what?
Do it now or you're going to get tased.
What
Do it now or you're going to get
You
tased.
can't wait, can you? You can't wait, can you?
I will explain it. Let go. Turn around or you're going to get tased. Don't be an idiot.
You don't idiot out here. Oh my God.
Stop running the mouth and listen.
Betty, go
If you talk over me, you are going to go to jail, sir.
Yeah.
Do not talk over
I
me.
ain't never heard such a thing.
If you cooperate, I may let you go with a ticket today. If you run your mouth, I will book you in jail for it. Yes, I will. And I will tow your car. You cooperate, shut your mouth, I'll give you a ticket and you can go. You understand me? Well, then I can take you to jail if you'd like. Would you like to go to jail, sir?
I gotta go to work. I gotta be at work.
Well, that's not going to happen if you keep running your mouth. Okay? If you have diarrhea of the mouth, you will go to jail. If you cooperate with us and treat us like human beings, we will treat you like a human being. You understand me?
Okay, July 17, 2007, Eddie Ford was on his way to work. He works a graveyard shift at a local canning bottler here in Yakima. And he was pulled over by an officer that accused him of playing his music too loud. Eddie ended up having a discussion with the officer, and during that discussion, Eddie was frustrated, to say the least. Why are you pulling me over? You know, I've got to get to work. This is ridiculous. And the officer's reaction really was to tell Eddie, look, you need to shut your mouth or I'm going to take you to jail. And at the time Eddie came to see me, he'd already been charged criminally and had successfully hired a lawyer to defeat the criminal action. And he came to me really to say, look, I want to know why this happened to me. They've never apologized for the way they treated me.
Right.
And don't I have some kind of right that says I can speak my mind without being fearful of being handcuffed and taken to jail? And in a pretty short period of time, my response to Eddie was, you absolutely have a right. It's called the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, and you have the right to exercise that anytime a police officer pulls you over, regardless of what they're accusing you of. You have the right to speak out any criticism against them. And that is why we took the case and believed in it from the start. It was about free speech. It was about a citizen's right to actually hold the police accountable and to challenge their action, not in a way that's improper, but to simply use their words as we as people of this country have the right to do, and that is to say, what you're doing to me is wrong.
Right. Now, when you filed suit, initially the case was dismissed.
It was.
And one of the reasons we do these shows is because just because a person thinks he's right, and just because he thinks he has the right to have freedom of speech, you would think, a lay person would think, well, the judge is going to see that way too.
Right.
And a lot of judges are, let's call it like it is, they're not impartial. They have their own attitudes, right? And depending on who appointed them, they may think this is ridiculous. So the case was dismissed. And at that point in time, you said, that's not right. What'd you do?
Well, we appealed to the Ninth Circuit. And
this took how long a period of time?
Well, this was several years by the time we were able to actually work through the circuit court. And initially, what happens in these cases, if they're summaried out or dismissed by the trial judge, a lot of times those cases will go away.
Yeah.
People will give up.
Yes.
And they will say, I've tried to fight the fight. I have tried to combat the misconduct by the police, and we have failed.
Right.
Fortunately, in this case, I represented Eddie Ford, and Eddie Ford is not a quitter.
And neither are you, because you didn't think that was right either, did you?
Well, I didn't think it was right, but if my client had told me I'm done, there's nothing I could have done.
Right. What were the legal issues you had to prove, and how'd you go about it?
The legal issues in the case, it's interesting, it's a retaliatory arrest case. That is essentially arguing to the court initially that, look, the reason Mr. Ford was taken to jail, the reason he was put into handcuffs, the reason he was charged criminally is because he spoke out criticism against the officer at the scene. And so what the law requires is that you make a showing that there is some connection between a retaliatory action by the police and your speech.
In other words, they arrested him because he wouldn't shut his mouth.
Exactly.
And that was clear cut, as we saw in the video.
We were somewhat surprised with the dismissal because of that fact. We thought, look, it's on the video. It's a co-band dash cam from a police cruiser that has the officer's own words saying, "Shut your mouth or I'm taking you to jail."
Right.
End of story. And when you have that kind of an admission on tape, you want to use it. And it's interesting, we went all the way to the Ninth Circuit where they reviewed the tape yet again, and fortunately the majority of the panel agreed with us. Police can't do that kind of thing. It's inappropriate.
What was the final outcome?
The final outcome, the case was reversed back to the trial court with an opinion from the Ninth Circuit panel reaffirming the constitutionally protected rights of citizens in this country to speak out criticism against the police.
Or anybody, for that
or
matter.
For that matter,
Yeah.
to
Against the
exercise those
government.
rights, yes. And the case was reset for trial. At that point in time, the city of Yakima and the police department agreed to pay Mr. Ford a monetary settlement to conclude the case. For Mr. Ford, the case was never about money.
Yeah.
It was about righting a wrong and
was
dealing
about
with
an
an
apology.
injustice. And just, that's the interesting piece, is a simple apology at the outset could have avoided the entire thing. If the police would have been decent,
Right.
and said, "We've treated this citizen inappropriately and we want to make this right. Sir, Mr. Ford, we're wrong. We apologize," that would have ended it. Government can't do that, though.
Right.
Government has a difficult time admitting when it's wrong.
We have Eddie here today, so we're going to bring him on right now. It's great to have you on the show, Eddie.
Thank you.
We all know what happened to you. You've been arrested. We saw the video and the whole 9 yards. When you were arrested, you went to jail. What's going through your mind?
And I couldn't believe it. I was just trying to go to work, and it's like I woke up in a nightmare.
Yeah.
Got out of bed and did my usual going to work, and thought maybe somebody killed somebody or something.
Right.
Maybe they got the wrong guy.
Now, criminally, they charged him with what, Bill?
It was a noise ordinance violation.
Yeah. And this is would be a misdemeanor.
It's, if that.
Yeah.
It was a bizarre charge.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Eddie was successful in defending that. It was
Yeah.
a not guilty verdict.
You know, it's sad to see that with limited tax dollars that cities have, right, that a prosecutor says, what the heck are we doing here? Why waste taxpayers' money having a case, right? So you won your case. Then in your gut, you still thought there's something wrong here, isn't there?
Yes.
And you want things to change.
Yes, I do.
What'd you do then?
It was kind of weird the way it happened. I was at work, and I happened to be reading the paper, and I ran across Bill's name and some work that he was doing somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I said, that's the guy right there. So I called Bill up,
Yeah.
and he took me in open arms, and it was good.
Now, a lot of people have never read the Bill of Rights or the Constitution, but you knew that what this cop was saying to you was dead wrong, right?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you came to Bill agreed with you 100%, you filed suit, it was dismissed. What did you think about the justice system then?
Well, I knew they were in trouble. They were in trouble.
The justice system was in trouble,
They're in
right?
trouble, yes.
So then you appealed the case, because as Bill said earlier, most people just give up. You appealed the case, it went to the Ninth Circuit, they reversed it, so you could go to trial.
Right.
What was your feeling then?
Victory. Yes.
Now, the interesting thing in these kind of cases, you never came to Bill and said, I want to sue them and make a lot of money, did you?
No, it wasn't about money.
What was it about?
Just principle,
Yeah.
I should be able to drive what I want to drive and not be profiled.
Yeah.
No matter what time of day or night it is.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like it was clearly profile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're on national TV right now. What do you want America to know about better relations between the police and citizens, and anything else on your mind?
Well, I've been a Yakima citizen for a lot of years. They've seen me do my landscaping. They know I do work with kids, and just to profile me overnight. You can't. Every person is not a criminal who drives a Cadillac or drives a nice sports car or whatever. I work hard for my. Give me the chance. Which I never had the chance to even speak that night. If they want to get to, the whole thing was just hostile. I thought I was going to get killed. And the whole thing too, my radio didn't even work, and I tried to show them that. It wasn't even functioning.
So your radio wasn't even on?
Didn't even work.
It wasn't on?
No, it wasn't on.
So it was an out-and-out lie?
No, yes, it was a lie.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking your time to be here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Do you think that the police today in America have gone a little bit overboard? Are there many more cases, not just in Yakima, but nationwide, where police are accused of police brutality, excessive force, violating folks' rights, civil rights?
Undeniably, we are seeing a rise in police violence across the country.
Why do you think that's so?
Well, I think part of the problem we're experiencing right now is a deep militarization of our police forces. We have a lot of veterans coming back from recent wars abroad. They are looking for places to be employed, and they're finding a home in police departments who are paramilitary type organizations to begin with. And they are bringing a warrior cop mentality into small town America, as well as our larger cities. And they are viewing us as citizens as combatants. And when they do that, it sets up a recipe for conflict and a disaster. Because as citizens, their first job is to serve and protect us. When they fail to do that and they see us as combatants, we are the enemy. And so I think as a result of that and some of the enhanced power that police authority has been given in recent years, certainly post 9/11, that has caused a rise in abusive conduct, and hopefully, as citizens become aware that this is happening in our country, that they will take steps to assert the rights that we hold now, at least on paper, bring them into the courtroom to try to shine a light on this misbehavior and get it cleared up and stopped. I don't think we'll ever stop all of it, but we can certainly turn it back.
Well, keep up the good work, and thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.